Let the Manspace be your God. Today on the Manspace. Welcome to the Manspace podcast. We're your hosts, Doctors Matt Brown and Rob Porter, and clinical therapist Mike Porter. Welcome, Spacemen. That's weird. Let the Manspace be your God.
Always let your conscience be your guide, or always let the Manspace be your God.
Or the Manspace be your God. Well, I told you,
Do you
sometimes
remember,
I talk.
Do you remember when we were at AAMFT in Atlanta?
Hot Atlanta?
We went to the Coke Museum, and the lady is like, "Who can tell me who made the recipe for Coke?" And Damon leaned deep into my ear, and he's like, "God."
That guy. What a maroon. Dude, the Coke Museum was such a...
It was stupid. It was like a big commercial.
Yeah, the first museum they had before they rebuilt it was also still a little bit of a commercial, but it was cooler. Mm-hmm. The only cool part of the Coke Museum is that back room where it's like, try all the flavors of anything Coke's ever made.
Dude, the BO tasting Italian drink. Do you remember that one?
Dude, so gross.
So
it's like carbonated vinegar.
Yeah.
Those Italians like their sodas punchy. Gross. Well, Spaceman, you missed it. We just had a big, this is the subscription level status. We just had this big old deep conversation about all our burnout. You guys don't get to know about it. It's too precious.
Which is probably also
vulnerable.
Good considering some of our clients listen to this. They probably don't want to hear about their therapists being burned out.
Well, I didn't say nor necessarily burned out on clients, Mike. I guess, whoops a daisy.
I mean,
I tell my clients that I'm burned out on clients. I always be like, don't worry, it's not you guys. And actually, it's kind of funny because burnout is it's not really like I don't like a client ever. Not to say that there's times when I don't, not to say I never don't like a client, but burnout is really like, we've talked about this many times. When you're trying your guts out, it feels like, and there's to no effect. It feels like, and the funny thing is, that's not even always a result of sometimes clients are also trying their guts out to no effect.
That's what I mean. Sometimes it's just you feeling what your client is feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so many times, and I'll say this out loud in my sessions too. I'll sit here and say, this is the weirdest job. Like to just sit with somebody and let them talk through their stuff and then try to reframe it. And it's just and it looks like I'm just being lazy as crap. I always got my feet up on the table. I'm always wearing shorts and flip-flops. And it's just like a weird gig. What do you produce, Rob? Nothing. I just sit in a room that nobody gets to know what goes on in that room. And I talk about stuff. Just believe me, I'm doing stuff. Whatever.
Take my word for it.
Classified.
But actually, watch this, because it does tie into this question that we have for today about whether or not the Manspace is our God.
Wait,
because...
Were you going to say something?
I was just thinking to myself, that's interesting. I was thinking this morning about... I thought maybe instead of doing this shameless plug we do of other people can be angel investors or patron saints. I've got a silent partner in my pocket that we could use, or I don't know, a benevolent uncle,
a benevolent benefactor.
Yeah,
benefactor. But then I thought maybe we should just do a once a month PBS support your local podcast drive, where we ask people to send us donations
in the form
to keep us afloat. Send us gift cards, and we'll name off all our favorite
an
restaurants.
ice menorah.
Hey, by the way, I've been watching Scrubs. I did not realize, the episode, Mike, where they have that Dr. Hooch. And so they set it up so that Turner and Hooch are
Yeah.
a surgery team together.
Yeah.
Do you know who plays Turner?
I mean, no.
It's Tom Hanks' brother.
Shut up.
That makes it even funnier.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah, I looked it up. I was like, hey, isn't that Jim Hanks?
That is rad.
No, that's pretty funny.
The
Classic.
less successful brother.
Yeah, although he's been very successful apparently off doing his voiceovers for his brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does tons of like
When they need a Tom Hanks sounding voice, they
they,
get this guy.
they need
instead.
Tom Hanks, but they'll just have him do it because he sounds exactly like him.
How do we know that Toy Story is really him then?
Right? Maybe
I
it's
think
not
there's things in
anymore.
I think there are things I think they've even said there are things in Toy Story that are not Tom Hanks.
Like the video
you wouldn't
game
know.
stuff, or like
Yeah,
like
all that
sometimes
stuff.
they'll have
that
all
I'm
the,
almost, that
All the
that
extra
I'm-
stuff is always him.
yeah.
And that's just part of the contract when Tom Hanks would sign it, I'm sure, is that my brother does all this extra stuff. But no one can tell.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Have
Anyway,
you
I just
guys
thought it was a
listened
nice,
to
subtle joke.
Have you listened to that guy Matt Friend do impressions?
No, Matt Friend.
Oh my gosh, dude, look him up. Yeah, he
Don't
is
tell me
like
what to do.
phenomenal.
Matt
Matt
Friend.
Friend.
Matt Friend. He does a lot of like shows up at like Hollywood events and talks to the person he's imitating, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah, some people don't take it well, but
Big surprise.
have you guys watched any of those Harlan Coben things on Netflix?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
He's an author, but there's like a bunch of limited series, basically like shows of the books. But yeah, we just finished another one last night. Good stuff.
You know what else is good if you're not watching? Severance. Get on board.
I know.
Don't make that face, Michael.
You lost me when you talked about how stressful it was. I was like, nope, I'm out. I'm good.
Wait, did I say stressful?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not
the way
stressful to me.
you described, I don't know if you described it as stressful. The way you described the like finale for season 1 or something,
Oh,
that it was
my
like
God.
You haven't watched
so
season 1 yet?
tense. No, I haven't watched any of it.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Because I was like, no, I just don't like.
Well, now
dude,
now
why
season
do you think
2's
I
out.
suggested Airplane as our second Seventh Night movie?
Which, by
Doesn't
the way,
that tell you
so that-
everything you need to know?
it's too late for listeners, but second, seventh night is technically tonight. Well, technically it's tomorrow night.
No,
we
it's
have to
tomorrow
do it on
night.
the first.
We're
second-
celebrating it
first
tonight.
seventh night.
In a
You got to
mysterious
explain this again, because every
change
time
for
you bring it up, I
20-something
still can't
years.
remember what.
When my cousin and I were roommates in college, we realized that for 8 nights of the year we're the same age. He turns like he's turning 45. He is 45 right now, and I'm 45 until Friday when I turn 46. So we decided we had our apartment was like dudes on one side, girls on the other side. And so we decided we would treat it like Hanukkah and have 8 crazy nights of Rob and Ty and have everyone bring us a gift each night, like Hanukkah. And actually one apartment full of girls brought us gifts each night. And then we realized partway through that if you actually count his birthday and my birthday, there's 9 nights. And so instead of calling it the 9 crazy nights of Rob and Ty, because that doesn't make any sense, we changed it
Plus, it
to...
had already been branded, so...
That's true. We kept it as the 8 crazy nights, but then made a second 7th night where mysterious things happen and we watch a scary movie. And we've been doing it for 22 years now. This will be the 23rd. And then I realized actually that if you wouldn't count both my birthday and his birthday because we're only the same age for 8 nights, but I didn't want to lose the second 7th night, so I didn't.
Nice.
So that's it. So we're watching a scary movie tonight. I don't know. And scary is like we are the biggest wusses on the face of the planet. So they're never really that scary. Dude, you don't want
Wait,
to watch
did you say you're watching Airplane as your scary movie?
No, that's what I
No.
recommended.
Mike
as the
proposed
scary
it.
movie.
Because if you watch a scary movie with Mike, it's exponentially more scary because he screams so loud all the time.
It's true.
Becky gets so angry at it. It's like,
I
oh my
know.
gosh, Mike.
I've tried to curb it when I'm around your wife, Rob. Here's the thing. Like, I've never understood people who go to a movie that's meant to be scary and then sit and pick apart how it couldn't happen. I think, what's your point in watching this? Like, if you wanted to laugh at something, go watch a freaking comedy. Like, don't watch this. So I let myself be scared. Plus, I'm just a scaredy cat, I guess. So
Well, it's funny. I was going to say, I let myself be scared too. Just
it
not
just
so
gets a lot
loudly, I
scarier when I'm
guess.
around.
Yeah. Anyway, it's tonight. So happy first 7th night, everybody.
Yeah.
Too late. By the time they're listening to this, it's a week past.
Yeah, it'll be past.
I'll
No
already
one will
be
care.
on the downward slope toward 50. And technically, in my mind, cresting 45, I'm for sure on the downward slope of life.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing. 45
Yeah.
was a lot harder for me than 40 was.
Yeah, 45 feels like I'm tipping the halfway point. Like I'm going towards
and
death
I don't
now.
think I love 48.
Well, yeah, isn't 40 what's the life expectancy for men now? Is it still 72?
I thought it was 76. It's not 76?
I thought women were 76 and men were 72. So
I thought
I'm on
women's
it.
went up too.
it probably went up a couple of years for both, but even then, like 40 is well past the halfway.
This says, at least for the U.S., this isn't broken up.
77.5.
Yeah, that's for the U.S., but not necessarily broken up by gender.
Women
sex,
have
I should say.
80.2 years, 74.8 for men.
Crap, I got 30 years left. I got less than 30 years.
Yeah. And probably 10 of those will blow.
The next 10. Maybe. I got to start doing Pilates so they don't blow.
Dude, have you ever, like, what the crap are Pilates, man? Like, is it
think
just
it's
core
like-
exercises in weird
I feel
ways?
Yeah, I feel like it's machine and coach assisted flexibility exercises. It's like yoga with machines. That's the way I take it.
It never made sense. I never actually looked it up, but like when people have described it to me, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Dude, there's a Pilates studio right down. They just opened up right in that building I was going to rent. And I'm like, maybe I'll just go start doing Pilates and see if it takes care of my back problem that I only sometimes have. But I don't want it. I don't want to be 80 and having.
It emphasizes core strength, flexibility, and body awareness.
Yeah, so it sounds like what we're saying. Matt, you're saying core strength, and I'm saying yoga with machines and flexibility.
So apparently the machines is not requisite for Pilates.
Oh.
Traditional
Did they ever do it
Pilates
without
can be
machines?
done on a mat.
Oh.
Many studios, however, offer specialized equipment such as the Reformer, which provides additional resistance and support.
Just that song popped into my
Reformer.
head.
That song. I like it, boom, boom, down.
Dude, now that we can look up any lyrics, have we ever looked that up?
I think I have before and been like,
Oh
what?
man, I'm looking it up.
By the way, did you know that lyrics are usually, if you look them up online, they're often wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I used to
'cause
think
now-
it was the band putting it in.
yeah, it's
not
like
just
the
somebody
illusion
listening.
of everybody
Yeah.
posting their stuff, but yeah, it's really people guessing.
Informer, you know, say daddy, me snow, me I go blame. I licky boom boom down.
What?
Detective Manna say daddy, me snow, me stab someone down the lane. I licky boom boom down. Informer.
What?
That sounds just as good as what I just said. I think I nailed it.
I think this is the wrong song. Who sings
What was
it?
it? Snow.
Snow.
Oh.
He was like Jamaican or something, right?
No, he's Canadian.
Well, is he Canadian by way of like immigration, or
He's white.
Well,
are you serious?
Snow.
Let's see.
Wow.
The musician Snow, whose real name is Darren Kenneth O'Brien, is a Canadian reggae musician, not from
Super.
Jamaica.
An
Super
Irish
white.
Canadian reggae musician.
He says he was heavily influenced by the Jamaican immigrants who moved into his neighborhood.
And then decided to capitalize on that and make a song.
And then he licky boom boom down.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna ask
that you
AI
can-
later what all those lyrics mean. But
Not that you can see that super well, but that's him right there.
oh my gosh,
the best part is that it's O'Brien. Potatoes O'Brien.
Yeah, there you go.
oh man,
All right,
All
let's
the
get into
That
this
scandals.
thing.
video might get a little questionable.
So here's where I was going to tie this in earlier. Thinking about what motivates, because Matt sent us a video about a thing that, who is it? Charles Arthur
C. Brooks
C. Brooks
does in his classes at Harvard. Yeah,
to try to help students figure out what they are motivated by, driven
what
by,
their
who's
idol
their
is.
god. Yeah.
As he phrases it.
Besides the man space. The obvious answer is first,
The
for
man
all
space.
spacemen, we're your idol. And then what actually motivates you after us. And the four things, Matt, I'll let you go a little bit more into this if you remember more, or Mike, you can chime in too. But the four things that they had were power, money, pleasure, and honor, right?
mm-hmm.
Honor.
Pleasure.
But honor being more like external praise, attention,
Yeah.
things like
validation.
that. Yeah,
And pleasure, right? Mike, you're saying not, I thought it was pleasure. Was it not
it was
pleasure?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
So his process of, I feel like I was watching it and I generally feel like I know mine, of those four. And actually, when you guys were mentioning earlier that you feel like you could go, sometimes it's more this one or that one. I was like, mine's pretty much always the one. And I think I can tie everything into that somehow.
No, I was going to say, I think mine is more, mine is more like an inverse relationship with some of them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do it Jordan Peterson style, because he was the one interviewing. No, that's how he did it to Jordan Peterson, right?
Yeah.
In order to determine which one you want, we'll start by knocking them
Process
off.
of elimination. So yeah, that's what he suggested was the best way to do this is not like, and he qualified, these are all things that everybody at some level desires, right? For various reasons. But if you're kind of like in the community or population norm, like this isn't an excessive thing for you. But everybody has one where they are, at least one where they're out of balance with it. Are we playing a little bit of Reformer over there?
Sorry. Mike's still going down the snow rabbit hole.
No, I'm not.
Well, and that's,
so yeah,
I
he
would
said
actually,
it's easier if you just say, if you had to go without one of these, right? Like, which would be the first one you'd knock off?
Because I would say too that, and maybe this is what you were saying to clarify in my head, is that I think we all have some of these in our, there are some areas of power, for example, that I could identify with, or some of money or pleasure or honor. I'm like, yes, I have elements of all of those.
Yeah.
But the driving force I know is for sure one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we just went in the order I wrote them down, I don't know if this is the order that they said them, but I wrote them down in power, money, pleasure, honor.
Yeah. That's the order he went through in the video, I think. Yeah.
It's like I paid attention.
Yeah.
Which is not like me.
You're always looking out windows.
It's so true. Actually, multiple times in that conversation, I was looking out the window to him, and I said, "Hey, look, there's a bunch of gnats out there." And then I went right back into what we were talking about. It's fine.
I've told you before that freaking possum that walks the gutter.
Dude, possums are so creepy.
Out in my courtyard. Yeah,
Giant
every time that happens, my clients will be talking, and then they're like,
I know.
It's just there's a huge possum out there.
It's because they feel like a bad omen somehow when it comes by. It's like something bad's gonna happen. Satan in rat form just walked by.
I frequently see birds and all sorts of crap in this tree that I always look at when I'm in session. And one time I just could not hold it together. Luckily, it wasn't like a real crisis moment in the session, but this squirrel just literally dropped. It was just like, ah! I just, uh,
Matt watched a squirrel commit suicide. All right, so we'll start with power. I don't know. What do you? I'll define it this way for me, where I can identify with it, because I can already tell you power is not my thing.
yeah.
When we get to mine, I'm keeping it like a surprise. So spacemen, stay tuned. When we get to mine, I'll tell you why power ties into it. But I'm for sure no, power is not mine. I don't want to control somebody else's life. I don't want to boss somebody around. I don't want to be the one who has to make this decision for somebody. Like I don't feel the need to be in power or in control.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, except I do want to have control of what I do.
I think that was the cool part about that question. He was like, how do you feel when someone tells you what to do or like has power over you? And it's like, I hate it. Right. So you will hate doing that to other people too.
Right.
And, yeah, same. That's the part that really resonated with me. Like I, especially if it's something meaningless,
right.
Like I hate that, you've got to do this just because. I'm like, no.
Right.
So, he did say, that because of that same dynamic, like people that you would view as more authoritarian, but don't want to be the authority, but like thrive in those systems, that it's like bullies all the way down. Yeah, they like having power over somebody.
Yeah, I like that, bully all the way down.
They're comfortable with someone having power over them too. Yeah,
that's what I thought. That was kind of an interesting way of pulling that out too, to talk about how if you don't want to be controlled, you're not going to want to control somebody else. I thought, that is interesting. I don't think I've thought of it that way. I think we tend to think the opposite. We tend to think, I don't want to be controlled because I want to be in control.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you may want to be in control of yourself, but that doesn't mean you want to control somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't like that power thing. I think, I'm not sure what the power thing does for me. So it's an easy one for me to eliminate. I don't know, Matt.
That's the
you're
easiest
saying
one for me to eliminate too.
Mike, you too?
Yeah.
No power for Mike. Mike doesn't even. I was editing our episode last time, and Mike said, "I have this idea for the episode, but I'm worried Rob's going to want me to run the episode."
Yeah. Like
Mike
we've
Mike
talked
doesn't
about
want
this.
Power over his own ideas.
Yeah, we've talked about this idea so many times on here. I feel like, as it relates to me, where I like, yes, if a group needs to have a leader, I'll do it.
Yeah,
but I'll pretty much only do it once I know no one else is going to do it.
Plus,
like,
I want to do it.
Frustrated and step up and do it.
Right.
But I don't want to.
Yeah, and
I will try to
do
make it as
a group.
Pull in as many ideas as we can, instead of just dictate, this is what I want to see happen.
I want it to feel like everyone feels like they have a pull or a say in this, and it feels like we came up with something together.
Yeah.
And I sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, I just, like, I was, thinking back to some of the meetings that I sit in, and how I'll get frustrated when I feel like the approach that's being taken is like trying to push people towards a decision. Because to me, it feels like you're going to get an inauthentic response just because they want the discomfort of the pushing to stop. And so they'll commit to something they don't actually agree with or think or buy into, just to make you stop, which I think we've all seen in couples too, where one member of the relationship is basically saying, yeah, I agree to it, so you would stop.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do it. I just wanted you to stop. And I couldn't find another way to do it, so I agreed.
Classic.
You know what I just realized?
You got to go to the bathroom.
Informer.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were just making a joke. It is. You didn't hear me saying Informer?
What did you think it was?
No, I don't know why Reformer stuck in my head. Oh, that'd be a very different song.
song is about labor reform. He's the lead reformer. I like the way Matt's over there. We're talking about power. Matt's like, wait a second, reformer.
I think I might have misheard that.
Before we go to the next three, let me ask you this question instead. This way, of the four, what's the easiest one for you to rule out?
That one.
Power was not. Actually,
It was power.
Oh, mine is my easiest one to rule out for sure is pleasure. Like
So
I don't.
how are you defining that?
Well, that's a good question. I don't
Because
think I know.
was-
I just know that does not resonate with me.
No, this is the one I have the inverse relationship with too. So I'm curious what you'll say, because I feel like the idea of, and I wish this were different for me, right? So it's like something that I wish I could come maybe up to like the population mean with.
Yeah.
Like I feel like having good things is wrong for me. Does that make sense? Like I can power through it and like, you know, like I have things that I enjoy and that I like, but I just have like a deep-seated sense of like guilt and wrongness about that that can easily be like, I can easily like exploit myself around and like just you know, deprive. But I mean, that sounds like I just like do nothing but, you know, hard work and let everybody else have fun. But that's not, I don't think that's true. But
I mean,
I don't know how much it aligns. I don't know how much it aligns with my actions. I think maybe on the surface it would look like normal, but the internal experience is like conflict.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike, because it looked like you were going to say something.
Well, like
before I get into how I defined this and why
Matt kind of mentioned, you mentioned, you know, nice things, and I like, to me that's
experiences or not like things
so that's
necessarily,
like,
but
I was going to say it like that. To me, tied into the money thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The nice things, the material.
Yeah.
Pleasure, like, no, I would probably put it as experiences. That's the thing. Like I said, I'm not sure. I'm curious. I don't know that I ever, like, it wasn't one that I remembered them spending a lot of time on. I didn't feel like
I think they both brushed it off pretty quick too.
And so I don't feel like I have a solid definition of what they're looking at it.
I would look at it like, you know, on the extreme end, indulgences, right? But
that's how I looked at
generally,
it. Indulgences.
I think I would look at it like, can you enjoy something? And like for whatever reason, in some situations, that's like a really vulnerable thing for me. Like to really kind of like let myself enjoy something.
That's true, actually. It's like to enjoy it in a way when it's something that's like, I guess there's certain things for me that's like to really let myself just enjoy something does somehow feel maybe almost shameful.
Mm-hmm.
Like I shouldn't enjoy this thing that much. Like maybe that's hedonistic or something.
That's why we all like imbibe ourselves on soda, because that's the only good thing we give ourselves.
And that's all the time. I'm like, don't take away the one thing I got.
Well, and it's funny, like
Imbibe.
because initially I think I thought this might have been mine. I don't know, because that's the thing. Like,
I guess that depends
I
on how
don't
you
know that I
define
ever
it.
would have thought of describing myself as indulgent.
Or like a pleasure seeker.
Yeah, like I don't know that people who know me would necessarily describe me that way either. But I will say I greatly value the ability to be comfortable, to find joy in life. And I say comfortable because I think but even sometimes that means doing difficult things. Like I still find pleasure in that. That's still pleasurable to me. So I don't know.
If we define it, because here's something that this is according to AI, our true overlord. He says Arthur Brooks argues that while pleasure is fleeting can lead to addiction, seeking enjoyment through effort, social connection, and purpose leads to more enduring and authentic happiness. I think, well, sure, that kind of idea. I think I do find a lot of pleasure. He mentioned this, I think, in the interview when he talks about, he's in better shape now at 60 than he was when he was 30.
Mm-hmm.
And he works out hard and is like uncomfortable afterward, like
Yeah.
he kind of painted a
Yeah.
picture of how you exercise, Rob.
Yeah, like I find pleasure in like pushing myself in ways, like my pleasure comes from a balance of things. I took it as indulgence, like that I'm driven by kind of like, I guess it was kind of hedonistic in my mind. I don't hear the word pleasure very often without hearing something hedonistic.
Yeah.
And so I took it that way, but in the bigger context of, this is why it's different for me too. Even the idea of like working out the way I do, I like working out so that I can also sit down and enjoy and not feel like I'm wasting my time, because that feels selfish, hedonistic, whatever. If I've already done a whole bunch of work, it feels like, okay, I earned this. But also it makes me feel that like working out for me it's a control thing of me. It's like I'm in control of my body. My body will not tell me what to do. I will tell it what to do. And I want it that way. When I feel like I'm tipping the other direction and I'm indulging too much, I feel miserable. And so that's where my brain went with pleasure. And so I immediately can say it's definitely not that one. But if you start to redefine it, I could say, oh, that's one of those areas where I can say, yeah, it's one of the places where I could say I can see how I'm driven by that, or how I have importance in that, but not necessarily driven by it.
And I guess like the way that apparently he's defining it, and since it's his list, like, to me, that's the definition we use, I guess. Then I think, that's probably not mine either. Because like I said, like I don't feel like I'm indulgent. It's generally pretty difficult. Like if I'm in a room and someone's working, that is really uncomfortable if I'm not helping.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like being served generally. Like I don't, if Jenner's like, oh no, just sit and I'll clean. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I'm going to get up and do something because I can't just sit there while there's work being done.
Well, and this is, if I reframe some of what these are the interview we saw with Jordan Peterson is based on, it looks like his Arthur Brooks 4 principles of happiness. He said the 4 bad habits that most of us chase are money, power, pleasure, and fame or honor. The ones that we need are faith, family, friends, and work that serves other people. And so in that context, Mike, when you talk about it's hard to just sit down while Jenner's doing something, it's like, no, you probably do find some degree of quote unquote pleasure or joy or fulfillment in I'm working to serve you.
Yeah.
Which is a natural thing he would argue is innate in humans. And that list, I think, as we talk about those same principles on this show all the time. So really, once again, the Manspace is your God. But
I think that's a good way of looking at this. Like, how much of a pull do these things have on you? And if you let go of it, would you feel like totally exposed? Or
yes, that question, I think, would you feel totally exposed and like, I don't know what to do with myself now that this thing has been taken from me? Mm-hmm. The pleasure one I could do without.
Yeah.
Power one I could do without. The 2 that are harder for me, I'll move to the next one. My last one is my so it will reveal it, because the one that's also hard for me, but it's not my last one, is money. Like it's not my last one. Meaning it's not the one that really is the hardest for me to give up. Like if I had to give one up, I could give money up. Mm-hmm. It would be very difficult because money to me is so connected. And this is something I've learned about myself.
Well, but he made a clarification here too.
Yeah.
And I think this is important.
I don't
We're not talking like no money. We're talking like,
right.
Wealth. Like the amount that is needed to like sustain life and be happy, like like above 75,000 a year back when they did the study. Like there's no gains in happiness or anything, right? So kind of like
I think one of the ways he phrased it was money beyond being able to provide for every need.
Yeah, and be comfortable. Yeah.
And
Like
that's,
like once you go beyond that,
yeah,
that's the money.
that's where that clarification is important for me, because if I could guarantee that my needs, and actually, and this is where it gets tricky, my needs, and obviously out there, I think, well, I'd want to be able to do some things, right? I want to do some things that aren't just needs, but if I could
I don't think he's
guarantee
saying
my,
like basic needs though.
right.
I think like comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you, yeah, you're not living the dream life, but it's also like, yeah, I can do the things I want to do.
Yeah.
The only reason I really ever cared much about money was so that I felt like, I felt like I had freedom to do what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And B, I just need to know I'm not going to be destitute, and more specifically, that I have not failed my family. Like, hey, real sorry, guys. I know you wanted to have a house, but this bridge is our house now.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my worst fears, is that I've failed in that category. And then I've learned some things about myself that have to do with the honor or fame piece that tie into money and into power.
So I'm curious about this, because to me it was pretty interesting listening to these two guys talk about how money wasn't their god, and I thought, sure, because neither of you were hurting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's easy to
the
say.
dude was, yeah, like both of them were wearing suits that I thought, no, you both probably paid, minimum $500-600 for the suit you're wearing right now. Your watches are probably, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, probably, like
Probably thousands. Yeah.
right. And so I think you guys are sitting here. I'm like, and so there's that part of me that wonders, like, how much does your socioeconomic, or like 1,000 different factors, like how much does that affect your thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how much does money become your idol when you don't have it?
Well, I think if you're just going off the research you cited, right? Once they hit kind of like I can take care of myself, the happiness and the draw
Right.
probably goes down.
But
I don't know what happens the other way. If you're at that level and then you lose a significant portion of it, but you're still at the
right.
okay level,
Right.
how much of a loss does that represent? And I guess that would tell you how much this affects you.
Well, and that's, I guess, like for me, my like, I feel like that's one of those, this is an interesting, these four things, and the fact that they're like sitting here and asking about it. It was not surprising to me that either Brooks nor Peterson's thing was honor.
Or Brooks are done.
Ooh.
Wait, I thought Brooks was honor.
Both of them were honor. That's
Both
what he's
of them
saying.
were. I'm
Yeah.
saying
Yeah,
it's not
okay.
surprising to me that they were.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying they weren't. I was like, wait, what?
That was their idol. I thought,
Yeah.
yeah. And like Brooks, I don't know who he is. But Peterson, I'm like, you live on social media, dude. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't have other stuff, but I'm like, the dude is. And so I think, anyway, it wasn't terribly surprising to me. But it was still like, as I'm watching it, I thought, this is still just an exercise of, like, it's any survey ever. Like, how much does the current mindset play into it? How aware are you of the fact that I'm answering these questions for an audience? I'm not answering them for myself. I'm answering these questions for an audience. Now, presumably, Jordan Peterson knows himself well enough that he's beyond that. And he's comfortable enough with who he is. And I would imagine the same is true for Arthur Brooks, right? That they know themselves well enough that they're beyond that, where they're not like, yeah, this is just who I am. I'm going to own it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting thing where, like, to me, if you're someone who's never had money, how well can you truly say, that's not my thing? If you're someone who's never had honor, how well can you say that's not my thing?
Like that's a fair point, but I will say this, like when they were doing this, I told you guys at the beginning, I knew immediately what mine was. I've always known what mine is, even though not having money freaks me out. I've never been driven to like I need to have this next thing or this big thing or that, like, except for as it relates to what that means for me and how I look in other people's eyes, which is actually when you say, you're saying this for an audience. I think the most vulnerable thing for me to say right now is I care so much about what people think about me. I
Mm-hmm.
need people to think that I am amazing in a fame sort of way. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, in a way that sickens me. That's why I knew immediately what it was. Like, crap, it's that one. because it's like, dang it, man, it is something I can't stand about myself. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with like power. I want the power if it means that my honor goes up, or I want the money if it means my honor goes up. If people think, look how successful Rob is, that guy's amazing.
Yeah.
That's why I want it. I want it for the fame piece, because then it means, crap, I have this deep insecurity that I have to have this external validation constantly. So I was kind of like, dang it, man, I wish I was a little more complex. And actually, I also thought, and now this is wrong, this is just the way my brain works. I think most people would say it's fame when you really boil it down to why they want these other things. It's for fame.
Yeah. Well, if you're framing it like you're saying, where it's like, but probably tied more to ironically, the four things that that are the healthy versions of this,
Yeah.
right? It's like we think that's how I secure family. That's how I secure
Right.
somebody who loves me. That's how I secure friends.
Yeah.
That's how I secure,
It's
even
how
a
I'm
job,
able to go serve
right?
people. And
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like, in what direction is that working? And that's it for me, right? Money. I've had jobs that like sales jobs, right? Where,
yeah,
all the motivation is like, built on the idea of making money, right? And
right.
and the suck of a sales job door to door, like, does not disappear at all for me, no matter how much you say I could make, right? It's like, yeah, this is dumb. And I feel like I'm, again, power, right? I feel like I'm manipulating people
Yeah.
to get something from them. And I remember during that, it was like a summer sales job. Everybody's like, dude, you got to read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And I started reading it and like, dude, I got like maybe 30 pages in and I'm like, this is disgusting me. like I had like, this is like so myopic. Like, let me put all my energy here and lose everything else that's important. I mean, I know that doesn't happen for everybody, but like that was
Right.
my thought, was why would I put all my energy into that? But so that's just not something that motivates me. But the flip side of it, like you're saying, if I'm letting somebody down because I'm not providing something for them monetarily, I feel like this big. Well, you can't see my fingers, but
that big.
But the fame thing, I think for me is more like, yeah, I would define it slightly differently than you did for me, I guess.
Okay.
It's like if I don't have feedback and if I'm not like perceived as like capable, helpful, like entertaining, whatever.
Yep.
Like I start to feel like I'm dying.
Yep. I feel like I have
sense.
no value whatsoever.
Yeah. And so out of like, I think that the important thing with all of this is like, how much is that playing into what you're doing, and like how much is it driving you, and how out of balance is it? And I think for that reason, some of the most freeing experiences for me have been like from that feeling, right? Is like kind of the ones you talk about, Mike, where it's like I'm sitting in this room and people are talking about ideas and I can restrain myself from like the desire to say something important or valuable or insightful, and like just listen and be okay with myself. And like that feels really liberating, right? But the reverse is also intoxicating sometimes too, right? Where it's like,
it's intoxicating.
Oh, everybody thought what I said was amazing, and it's like, and yeah, it's helping people, but it's also like, is that making me more and more dependent on something that isn't really tied to who I am or my worth or any of those things?
I think that's why I get so bothered by this is like, I know better. I wish I didn't have this kind of what you're describing, Matt, where it's like, if those are taken away from me, it feels like I wither up and die.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like, oh, because then I can catch myself at times, sometimes committing to things. It's like, I don't want to do this. This isn't where I think I should go or what I should do. But because I think it will bring me those things, I will go do it and I will hate it.
Yeah.
But I need it because I need the thing that comes at the end. And that's the thing where it's like, that's where he would talk about and say, it's what it will actually make you unhappy. You're chasing this thing that will eat you up.
Yeah.
So that was a real bummer for me. But Mike, well, and actually I'll say one other thing. What's interesting to me about these four things is it's kind of like Prochaska's change, scale of change assessment that he has. I don't know if you remember that, but it's motivation for change kind of thing. And it just has the four different categories. And I noticed that the pre-contemplation stage was actually inversely related. Like they all went up this way, but this one went down. That's how I feel with, like, I feel like I can tie money, power, and fame all into the same one. That as one goes up, the other will go up. Pleasure, I feel like as that goes up, the other ones go down. Nobody who's super into pleasure, it feels like, is ever like, look at that guy. It's like gross.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So it feels like that one seems inversely related with all the other three.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike, you didn't know. Do you feel like you know more now? Or is it like, no, I still don't know? Because I'll tell you what yours is.
I think I do. I actually was curious about that. I was curious about what you guys thought it was.
For you?
Yeah, but I don't want you to tell me yet.
I sincerely don't think I know.
It's looking at it like and listening. My guess is it probably is honor, but it's been challenged a lot for me.
Yeah.
Like I used to tell my students all the time that anyone who says they don't care is lying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like when, people are like, well, I don't care what they think. Like I would tell my students all the time, I'm like, that's a lie. Anyone who says that is lying to you.
They're trying to convince themselves.
Yeah, they care. Now, they may not care what the population in general thinks, but they care what their immediate peers think.
Right.
Even the ones they don't like.
Right.
And so, like, part of me thought, well, yeah, that is most likely the mindset of someone who, right, like, sure. Like, I imagine someone that honor is not their thing, sincerely probably is just like, whatever, I'm over here doing my thing. Like, and like it, don't like it, praise me for it, don't praise me for it, okay. I know that, like, I remember there was one time I was still teaching in Utah. And the school I taught at I was the only male in the school. Like faculty, staff, like it was just me. And so they didn't know what to do with me for Teacher Appreciation Week because they just had like, oh yeah, we can do these cutesy things. Yeah, and they're just like, what do we do for Mr. Porter? And like, so one year, I guess they decided they just kind of wanted to like honor me in front of my class, had called up Jenner to like learn some things about me. And one of the questions that they asked her was, what's a time when Mike gets embarrassed?
When you have his wife come in and give him an award
Jenner,
in front
she
of his
goes,
class?
honestly, he doesn't. Like, Mike does not embarrass. And they shared that, right? Like in front of the class, and they're sitting here saying all these nice things about me. And it finished, and I said to Jenner, I said, you want to know when I get embarrassed? And she's like, wait, there is a thing? And I said, oh yeah. When? And I'm like, that was super embarrassing to me. Like, I did not like that level of attention, made me insanely uncomfortable. And I, like, as years went on as a teacher, like, you'd always have those teachers who, when their class did something amazing, would make it felt to me watching them like they made it about them. And they would, they would be the loud person drawing all the attention to themselves when their class should be the ones being celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, like, the longer I taught, the more frustrated I got, to where I found myself afterward, after assemblies and things, I would apologize to my students and say, hey guys, I'm not going to be that person. And they would ask why. And I said, because that's pulling the attention to me, and that's not where the attention should be. The attention should be on you, because you guys did this really cool thing. And so, know that I'm proud of you and I love you and whatever, but I'm not going to be the teacher who's screaming from the back of the room. It's not going to be me. And so, like, those are things to me that I think, like, I don't know how that fits with honor. Like, it certainly makes me uncomfortable, to say the least. But at the same time, like, no, I can think of times where I've thought, yeah, I want this because I want someone to say, wow, like, you nailed it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's been challenged recently. Like, I live, like, people here don't know me for anything. And I feel like I'm a fairly open person, but then I always find out that I'm not quite as open as I think I am. Like, I tend to keep a little more, I share things that to me are like, whatever, they're not a big deal. They don't reveal anything about me, but I've found, like, it is kind of disconcerting. Like, I don't feel like I know where I fit. Where I felt like I knew where I fit.
Yeah.
Because even though I hated expectations that people would have for me, mm-hmm. I felt like I knew where I fit, and I don't here.
Yep.
And it has, like, the last few months have been rough for that, because I just don't know. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't, and I just can't. And I thought, as I was talking about it, I thought, yeah, that's probably part of it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's interesting if you broaden out that fame idea, because fame sounds, or if you keep it in honor, it's like, yeah, in the end, I think that's seriously what it is for everybody. If you broaden it enough, if it really
mm-hmm.
is like, I need fame from a vanity point of view, then sure, it's not really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when it's like, I need to know that I matter to people.
Yeah.
I think everyone withers and dies without that.
Well, and I think that's a different thing, right? Because yeah, that probably ties into some of the healthy things.
Right.
I think
Family,
if you
friends.
look at it like fame, meaning like, I need to be held above.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Others, right? I need to be
I'm talking.
exceptional. And yeah, it's tough, because it's like you said, when you are held above others in a teaching capacity, right? Your mind goes right to, like, this honor belongs to others, right? But yeah, I think it can attach itself very strategically to,
mm-hmm.
and the insecurity of, like, do I matter enough, right? And is there enough of, like, the connection pie, or the, esteem pie that's coming my way?
Yeah.
And yeah, when we get into more, like, scarcity mindsets around it, it can become something that you seek because it feels like the only life raft that's going to keep you afloat. But I think if you're well balanced in those other areas, maybe our answer would be, like, to the extent that we're balanced in all those other areas, none of these things really have much of a pull.
Right.
And maybe the question of an idol kind of falls by the wayside a bit too. Although I think you can make all of those other things into idols.
Yeah.
Family,
the positive
family,
things.
friends, faith, right? You can turn all those things into idols.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of interesting to look at this and say, so then essentially the benefit to this to me to look at this is to say that's an area that I know I need to bolster up.
Yeah.
Like I need to work on. And actually, to me, the answer to for my problem with the fame thing is to do what Mike's describing, is to say, no, I want to make sure. And actually, in a setting where this is the case, I will tend to only draw attention to me as a joke, but actually defer to say this person actually came up with this thing. Like I want to make sure that person is known for doing what they did, but to bolster up and to see how it makes me feel more fulfilled, to know that I don't have to push me out front. Like I think you have to directly challenge these things. And, and so that's, the pleasure one wasn't ever hard for me to challenge. It's like, I like the feeling of pushing myself in this direction or having this be difficult or uncomfortable. But knowing that there are places, and I work on this fame thing I've worked on, or the honor thing I've worked on for a long time. And maybe one day I'll get there.
Which, like,
When you do, you'll let everybody know about it.
I will shout it from the very rooftops.
that's one of the things that's the other thing that was interesting to me is I still think, sure, like for you, Rob, fame or the honor thing might be the most prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think there's so much of just kind of our current circumstances that probably feed it.
Yeah.
And
for
shift
everybody.
it, because the two of you, and I've said this before, I think, I don't know. You two are consistently very good at lifting me up.
But more me than Matt, right? Just kidding. Sorry to ruin a moment. Keep going.
and being, for lack of a better title for it, my cheerleader.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, that's not, to me, that's not the trait of someone who struggles with seeking honor. Like someone to me who, like I've when you can't celebrate someone else, that's really problematic to me. And you two, at least in my experience with you both, don't have a problem celebrating someone else. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean you don't struggle with, right? I'm not saying, well, gee, Rob, you're wrong now. Like, no, I'm just
Sure.
curious, I guess. Like, to me, I think it is important to kind of recognize, yeah, I don't always struggle with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like a core, I must have this at all costs. But
Right.
it does happen. And this is where I think it's valuable for anybody to look and say, hey, this is something I struggle with that I want to work on.
Yeah.
To be able to acknowledge it out loud, like, yeah, I'm not great at that.
Yeah.
And that's like, to me, I was having a conversation with a guy the other day, and he said, I feel like I kind of struggle with this thing with supporting people. And I thought, I've never felt that from him. I've always felt supported by the guy. And so I was just like, well, like, I appreciate that you feel that, like, and certainly if you feel that, then by all means, try to be better. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's an area where you struggle, it doesn't particularly matter what my perception of it is.
Right.
Because it's a weakness for you in your mind. So, okay, then work on it. Yeah.
So then I guess really in the end, we're saying, Spacemen, find your weakness and work on it.
But before you do that,
Oh,
let me just inform you on the true meaning of informer.
Good.
According to ChatGPT, informer, ya no say daddy, me snow, me I go blame, means snitch, you know I, Daddy Snow, am going to hold you responsible.
I'm going to hold you responsible.
A licky boom boom down is a Jamaican style exclamation, which means I'll come after you or I will deal with you.
Sounds more sexual than that.
I was going to say, it sounds
And
pretty
detective
dirty,
man,
but-
a say daddy, me snow, me stab someone down the lane means the detective is saying that I, Daddy Snow, stab someone down the street.
I like that. Well, then, put that in your book. And then come back and join us next time on the Manspace. I licky boom boom down.